Barak Yahweh.
Barak Yahweh.
Barak Yahweh.
Barak Yahweh.
Alright, we want to give double honors to the apostle, the great millstone, who rule well. And we also want to say peace and blessings, salutations to the hopefully elect. Like I said, we want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahasham, Ha'arakah Kodash. Alright, and today we're going to go into a continuation of a series of a few lessons that I've been doing through the spirit of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah. And this one is going to be called Emasculated Through Slavery. in reference to Jake, man. Okay? The Israelite man. Because there was a series of events that happened in America that's responsible for taking the masculinity out of your soul, man. Whether it was the slavery or the women's liberation movement, and we regenerating generation after generation with no source to our heritage, with no source to who we are, man. All right, but without further ado, we're just going to get Jeremiah 30 and 12.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 12. For thus saith the Lord, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous.
Right, and I looked up the word bruise, and you brothers can look it up too in the blueletterbible.org. And it goes back to the Hebrew shabar, Strong's H7666. And it says, well, Strong's H7667. It says, metaphor, use of a breach or wounds of a state of mind. All right. Once again, it says use of the breach or wounds of a state of mind. It says the fourth definition, terror from the mind being broken. All right. So Shalom, Yakanan, Yahabashima Shabrakatah. So let's get some examples. Let's see if we can pull some examples of the Israelite man mind being broken in America, man. All right. And to add to the arsenal, I'm going to bring out this book called The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. All right. Shalom, Tazawan. The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man, which is an alternative to the Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. And the same author, Dr. Shahrazad Ali, which had her book, The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. Vice versa, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. She has had a book on platforms back in the early 90s, and so many so-called black women literally wanted to fight her when she put her book on the talk shows and promoted her book, because the truth hurts, man. All right? She took the essence and the soul and the psychology of the so-called black woman and put it in the book for the so-called black man. But then she later took the essence and soul and studied the psychological effects from slavery to the different movements in America and how it affected the psyche of the so-called black man, okay? And one of the things that affected the psyche of the so-called black man was the women's liberation movement, which is part of this captivity's womb, man. The womb wasn't just slavery by itself, because after slavery, we had structure. But part of that slavery, or the continuation of that womb, are these different movements that affected the psychology of Jake, man. Yeah, the scripture is going to bring up.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3, verse 12. It's for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them.
It says, as for my people, children are their oppressors. Who are the children is Esau, because he came out of so-called black people, all right? He said, children are their oppressors. Esau has the power to oppress us through his systematic racism, man. All right, through his legislation. Oppress literally means to press, to keep us down. It says that women rule over them. All right. Or who was it them that women is ruling over? The men of the nation of Israel, man. And that's been manifested through the women's liberation, man. All right. You're gonna find out that westernization is an embodiment of Satan itself, man. Okay.
And it said, "Oh my people, they which lead thee call thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths."
Yep. It said they which lead thee call thee to err, man. And part of the people that lead us is our leaders, is our women, all right? It was our mothers. It calls us to err, okay? All right, you got something else, bro?
Nah, you go ahead, bro.
All right, this is page 158. And this is talking about the so-called black man in America. It says, sometimes they are in a situation where they are so emotionally brutalized that they can give up on their manhood and allow themselves to be manipulated, directed, told what to do, give up all their money, and obey all orders from the wife, no matter how distasteful it is to him. His inability to be honest with his woman or with himself leaves him spent and impotent. This unnatural fear he has of women is deprived out of his fear of being rejected, insulted, verbally attacked, or ostracized. All right, this is talking about the so-called black man and his psychological effects of being in America, starting with the women's liberation movement, man. It says, in mammals, the animal who is solely responsible for feeding and taking care of the offspring is more viciously threatening. The black man bears the brunt of this situation somewhat with the black woman. Having to root for food and shelter requires a female to take on survival skills ordinarily left to male or every species. Because what happened in America, women can go out and work for themselves, man. So the man is really detached from his natural role as a man. Could you hold what you about to bring out, bro?
I'll just read. What you want to get?
Okay, get the you got your phone on you?
No, you know you use it.
Oh, so you using my okay. I'm gonna get the word emasculate because you're gonna find out one of the main things that really broke down the nation of Israel is Esau stripped the primary role of the Israelite man. All right, so I'm gonna Google the word emasculate right quick. Emasculate definition. Okay. It says emasculate on the dictionary.com. It says deprive a man of his male role or identity. Make a person, ideal, or piece of legislation weaker or less effective. But the most effective definition is the first one. It says deprive a man of his male role or identity. All right. It's now going back to the book, page 158. It says in mammals, the animal who is solely responsible for feeding and taking care of the offspring is more viciously threatening. The black man bears the brunt of this situation somewhat with black women. Having to root for food and shelter requires a female to take on survival skills ordinarily left to male of every species. His inability to articulate his grievances with his woman is another reason for his quietness. All right, he has been fooled by the women's lib cries for equality. He has psychologically bought into ideas that now prevent him from speaking out. He has convinced himself that matters of great essence concerning his manhood are not important and that it is unfair for him to force his value judgments on his mate. He trembles at the blow up he knows she's going to have if he mentions certain things. All right? I'm going to just jump down to my highlights. It says, he knows that the black woman has the white man and his institutions on her side. And whenever he backs her up against the wall too far, she can always cry for help and that it'll come. He is relegated to a place of only slight importance to her if it comes down to who is going to have their way. If he wants the traditional home and family life, his woman rebels and doesn't let up the pressure until he gives up his old-fashioned ideas and gets with modern times. All right, going on page 159 to the highlights, because this is basically illustrating Isaiah 3 and 12. As for my people, children are their oppressors and women rule over them. Because we can't really project our manhood because our woman is going to tell Esau in a nutshell. We can't really say, look, you're the woman, you're submissive, you're supposed to be under me. Because guess what? She could go out and work for herself. So your role is not that important anymore in America, man. Yep.
And then to say that's why brothers always say that women really not in the truth, man. Because they're not willing to give that up, that power that they got from Esau, man. Because you got, as a woman, if you say you're a woman in the truth, you have to give that power up and be in subjection to your husband, as the scriptures say, man.
And even if you do have a job, even if you do have good money, once you come home, you still got to play the role, man. Once you come home, whatever accolades you have for Esau, that's irrelevant as soon as you come home. Your man can make $20,000 a year. If you make $80,000 a year, but once you get home, he's still up here and you still down there, according to the scriptures. We're not some guys that's obsessed with dominating women. It's not this serious for us. We're just telling you the truth, man. If you really fear the Most High, you'll fear your husband. All right, it says, many also give up the running of the house to the woman because he sees her as a better man than he is. All right, it goes back to that broken spirit, man, that wound. So let her handle it Some of them are so accustomed to having to sit or lay and listen at that women complain or fuss that they are excessively loud when outside the home to make up for the indoor restrictions on the sound of their voices. Black men who go along with these kind of behaviors are considered henpecked or conquered. Black women do not like these kind of men, even if they are married to one. They brag that they keep him in line at the back of the line. All right, so those are illustration of Isaiah 3 and 12, how a lot of Israelite men have been conquered through the legislations of this society, generation after generation, being embedded in the household, man. Because Esau running his house, Esau running his country should have nothing to do with what goes on in your household, man. All right, but unfortunately it does. All right, you got something, bro?
Yeah, you had something you want me to get?
Yeah, Jeremiah 31:22, please.
Alright, come.
Then you can get your scripture as well.
31 and 22.
Come.
Alright. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 22. How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man.
And that backsliding daughter is Israel being used as a metaphor as a woman, man. But the punishment was that a woman is going to surpass a man. Has that been manifested? Yes, it has, man. All right? Because a man in this natural state is responsible for a woman's livelihood. He's responsible for that woman's life. Because guess what? He's going to survive off the earth. Did it not say in Ecclesiastes something to the effect of the earth profited all? The man goes into the earth and he farms. He goes into the earth and he hunts. He goes into the earth and he fishes and he brings it back to his woman. And without that man, that woman can't survive, man. You know? Yep. Jeremiah 31:22, that's the spirit. Without the man, the woman can't survive. But on this side, the woman, just like the man, can go through Esau's power structure and provide for herself. That has totally taken away the importance of her natural man.
Esau provide for.
Esau provide whether it's you have some babies and he provide, or you go out and work for him and he provide, man.
A fast food restaurant, you know, it cut the man out the picture, man. A fast food restaurant, all right, construction crews, you know, police department. That cuts the man, you know, out of the picture, man. You know, because a man was their protector. A man was their providers for food. A man knew how to build houses back then, man. You know, so just like the brother saying, in Esau's structure, all right, his false paradigm of reality has taken, all right, the man's role completely. He has made the man's role in the family, all right, devalued, man.
Yep, like Tommy Sotomayor said, if the white people, so-called white people held a cold, and because the so-called black people held the flu. So whatever the so-called white man complains about, we already had it. So the Esau is complaining about his woman. But that's because she don't depend on you to survive, man. So, but we been had this since the 70s, man. If not sooner, you know, if not earlier. But the one of the main points of we get treated like shit by a woman because she don't fucking need us in Esau's kingdom, man. You're totally detached from where you came from, because Esau never told you that you were responsible for the life of your family. That's why you can have 2-3 women, because if you could hunt, fish, and farm, you can, and your resources was a surplus amount of resource. You had all these acres and these sheep, these cattle, and you know you had all this sustenance. You could hold down 2-3 women. They were good. That was a come up for them. She got sister wives, all right, and she eat.
A man supposed to be able to make gain profit off his existence.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Not by just talent as for singing, dancing, playing the sport. A man is supposed to be able to gain substance just off his mere existence, man.
We think we look the way we do to run out the ball. You think LeBron James looks the way he do? Or looks the way he does, all right, just to put a ball in the hole? Like, nah, Israel are natural-born hunters. They're natural-born warriors. That's how a real man is supposed to look. We're the alpha males of the earth. If we want to take over another nation, guess what? We can genetically do it because that's how the Most High built us. We are the lion amongst these people, man. You know?
No big 6'8" nigga, man.
Yeah.
Big shoulder, that nigga supposed to be carrying a deer on his shoulder,
Yeah.
man. Why that nigga look like that, man?
Our whole nation is supposed to be straight, but like you brought out a while back, Esau took the resources, but Esau totally attached us from our manhood.
Yeah, he rationed those resources out via the grocery store, via the fast food restaurant.
Yeah, and hell, Keisha working in them. But now we're totally detached from our role. Like, what really can you do with the woman besides desire to have sex with her, man?
There's the book of Isaiah 29, verse 16. Surely your turning of things upside down
putting a woman over the man.
Shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding?
Yep. So that's the thing, man. And that's Esau too. That's Esau. Esau, the Most High made you Esau, but you claim the Most High didn't make you. But then, same thing with Keisha, Eve, man. You claim that you don't need the so-called black man, or you are where you are without the so-called black man. But who built this society, man? So you're going to find out that you are just a worker in Esau's kingdom. It was our mind that put this world together, and don't you forget that, man. All right. I'm going to get to the point of, now I'm going to segue into another part of the lesson, and it's going to another part or another aspect we've been emasculated. We've seen the domestic side of being emasculated, okay? Basically, a so-called black woman, she orients her house based on westernization and women's liberation, which led her to not really respecting the so-called black man. If the black man doesn't like it, the so-called black man doesn't like it, guess who she could call? Esau. So now we're going to get into the providing aspect of you being emasculated, which is really what we were just talking about. So can you get Deuteronomy 28:48? You had anything you want to say? You got it.
This the book of Deuteronomy, say 28:48. All right, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. It said, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Yep, and that's talking about Esau, but the point was you're going to serve your enemy for your livelihood, man. And you've been you're captive bred, man. You're the lions and tigers that have been captive bred in the zoo, so you don't associate hunting with eating. You associate the zookeeper is going to throw you a slab of meat every couple of days, every week for your survival. So you've been captive bred because in your natural state, you go out there and get it from the earth yourself, man. So that's the thing that messes us up psychologically the most in America, that we depend on another man to survive, man. Well, with that being said, I'm going to continue from this book, The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man, all right, and explain how your spirit has been further broken in this prison. All right, it says, this is page 100. The last place he looks, talking about the so-called black man, for his help is his own determination and ingenuity. He has believed the hype. He thinks that the mountain is just too high to climb, and besides, he doesn't have a rope. Okay, I'm going to skip to the highlight. He doesn't realize that he's already at the bottom. It would be better for his wounded ego if he started this very day to try to become independent in some way. It would be better if he took charge of one of the problems he sees existing in his neighborhood, which we can't say the so-called black community. Okay? It's never too late for him to learn farming, canning, poultry, or beef production, how to operate a hospital, how to run a school, how to set up a first aid center, how to set up a grocery store, how to make shoes, how to build a bed, create a stove, weave a broom, turn cotton into cloth, make a light bulb, or to supply any number of the thousands of daily needs and wants of so-called African American people. He can't do most of these things because he was not taught to think in terms of taking care of himself. In fact, he has been innuendo or hinted into thinking that all of these needs will always be supplied by others, and that they could do it quicker, cheaper, and better. They're doing it will save him time, money, and worry. But that is not how it has turned out. The way it has turned out is that today he feels useless, unable to keep up, and helpless. That goes back to that wounded. You being wounded, man. Let me read that definition for the word wound, man. It says metaphor. This is going back to Jeremiah 30 and 12. Metaphor. Use of the breach and wounds of a state of mind. Terror from the mind being broken. The mind being broken. What was the Willie Lynch letter all about? Let's break his will. What's your will? Your determination to survive, man. It's a lot, brother. Forget. A will is your determination, man. What was the setup of Willie Lynch? All right, get the alpha male, the male that all the other Negro slaves look up to. Take him, all right, and then when he rebels, when he, grab each of his limbs and attach it to a horse and make the horse go separate ways. And this pregnant wife, she's gonna see the alpha male gets de-limbed, for lack of better words, in front of her face, and it's gonna cause her to fear. But then after you kill the alpha male husband, let the slave woman eat out of the hands of the oppressor. So she's gonna teach her baby son to be a good slave, but fear the white man and never challenge his authority. She's gonna teach her daughter to be submissive to the so-called white man and depend on him for survival as opposed to her natural born husband. Okay? So your will, and that has been manifested because now the so-called black woman goes straight to Esau, like you go straight to Esau. She don't go to you to survive, man. All right? It says he can't do most of these things because he was not taught to think in terms of taking care of himself. In fact, he has been in the window into thinking that all these needs will always be supplied by others and that they can do it quicker, cheaper, and better. The doing it will save him time, money, and worry, but that is not how it's turned out. The way it's turned out is that today he feels useless, unable to keep up, and helpless. There is so much to do, and he has so little resources to do it with that he is stunned into not doing anything. Yes, there are many black men who are entrepreneurs, but most of them supply the optional recreational needs of civilization. The basics which keep him tied and restricted from exerting masculinity are not made or controlled by him. He has no more ownership in America than the Indians, and they have none. This entire scenario comes down to education. He has never been taught the basics of survival or the psychology behind why he needs to know how. He has been mentally bullied into inaction. He has no memory of ever supplying his own needs, nor of being responsible for himself. The lack of familiarity with independence has followed him home, another place where he is not adept at taking charge of his wards, because he has allowed others to set the rules and standards there too. So what was the point, man? Nobody ever told you in America that you are responsible for your own survival. And then when you were, Black Wall Street, they bummed you. But the point is, it's not in your natural instinct to depend on another man to survive, man. You have been emasculated, man.
And then that's why, even these niggas that call themselves Israelites, man, that's why they try to change, America from being Babylon, man, or try to take America out of the scriptures, because they can't see survival outside of America, man, outside of the grid, man. They try to say Esau can make it. Really, that's them niggas' spirit saying we got to have Esau. We can't live, we can't exist without the so-called white man, man. That's really what them niggas saying in their spirit, man, when they try to make a way for Esau and say America is not Babylon, man. Because once you say that, you saying this place, the only place you ever survived at, is gonna be destroyed, man. Because in the kingdom, we're gonna have that wisdom, like the brother is getting into, man. We're gonna be healed, man. We're gonna go back to a natural way of living, man. This way of living that we live now is gonna be wiped away, man. You're not gonna be in the chariot, pulling up the Chick-fil-A, man. You're gonna get your meat freshly slaughtered, man. You're gonna get your wine from the wine press, man. You're gonna get your clothes embroidered, man, handmade. All right. Those are the natural ways that we going back to, like the brother is getting into, man.
All right, and this is the last point. All right, this is page 107. It says, and I'm reading the highlights. All right, it says his refusal, talking about Jake, his refusal to do anything for himself in the way of supplying his own needs, It's part of the reason he has lost his woman and children because they have to go to Europeans for all their needs. This keeps the black man from being in a position of power and authority over his family because they all go to the same people to fill their needs. Because they all go to the same people to fill their needs, be they food, clothing, shelter, or employment. Can you read Deuteronomy 20 to 48 again? All right.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
All right, and okay, I'm gonna read that again. Because they all go to the same people to fill their needs, be they food, clothing, shelter, or employment. So he has no control of any sustenance he needs for life. This makes every other man appear greater and more powerful, and ultimately more respected. The black man is also frustrated because of the stigma attached to receiving welfare from the government. But that's going to a different point. But the point was, part of you losing your power and respect from your family is the fact that your family, your wife and kid, they go to the same entity that you go to survive, man. Mm-hmm. So they don't have to depend on you. See, if you look up the word Lord, like it says in the scriptures, even as even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, Lord goes back to breadwinner. The Lord goes back to the word loaf, which means breadwinner. All right, if you die, your wife and kid will die. But now it's not so. She could go through the same entity and get elevated higher than you can, man.
All right.
So that actually depowered you. And on your behalf, you don't know how to go to the earth to survive or through the Most High. So guess what? You have to go through him. So that took away your power and respect. But that's part of this captivity, man. You don't know how to go through. Don't let anybody tell you differently. It's not about no damn designer belt. It's not about no damn PhD. All right, the thing that makes you a threat to Esau, besides going to the Yahweh Bashim Shai, is going back to Yahweh Bashim Shai's earth to survive. All right? But in the kingdom, we ain't gonna worry about all that. But with that, man, I'm just gonna bring it to a closing. All right? You had any closing statements?
I'll just bring this one precept out.
Okay.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the right of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name.
Yep. So you want to expound on that?
Yes, like it says that Jacob is the former of all things, man. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Our ingenuity, all right, has been the mastermind behind every kingdom on the planet Earth, man. Yep. All right, going back from the Egyptian captivity all the way to the American captivity, man.
Yep, that was actually mentioned that in his book that the so-called black man it never occurred to him that he could depend on his own ingenuity to build himself from the ground up. When we didn't have anything, that's when we created everything. Necessity is the mother of invention, man. But when Esau provides everything to you, that doesn't give your mind time to create, man. What it does best.
Yep, but like the brother said, man, this part of the curses, and we just want this flash shine the light, on that topic to just give you an understanding, the position that we're in, man.
We're in a position of dependency, man.
Dependency, man.
Which totally emasculated us.
Come, bro. But the Lord finna get ready to take those curses right off his people, man. Starting with that Israelite man, because we've been broken down the worst, because we're getting punished the worst because we were supposed to be the leaders of our nation, man. So the Lord has broke us down to being dependent, to being emasculated. Yep. You come into the truth, you seek those old paths, you learn the old ways, but that's still to a degree, man. You still can't be that line like you want to, man. You still, all right, have to tone it down, man. Have to tuck your shit in, man. That was it, bro.
Hey, well, we're going to close it out with this one scripture. I'm going to get it right quick.
Okay.
Since that was mentioned. Isaiah chapter 46, verse 8. Isaiah chapter 46, verse 8. Remember this and show yourselves men. Bring it again to mind, O you transgressors. Remember this word, and show yourselves men. So we got to reclaim our manhood. Part of reclaiming our power is reclaiming our manhood. But did you have any more closing statements?
No, that was it, bro.
Hey, with that, I hope you brothers are edified. To the next lesson, Shalom.
Shalom.